Hello everyone, I hope you're all safe and well. I have a couple of little journals to share with you today, and this year my goal is to try and use up lots of scraps. So I've been going through my scrap tray and seeing what I can do. So I've come up with two journals that I've used lots of little pieces of scraps, all sorts of stuff, bits of digital kits. This is actually a scanned image from a vintage letter that several vintage letters that I bought from a antique fair in Italy. I've used bits of tissue paper, bits of fabric, bits of lace, all sorts of stuff, and it's really nice to be able to use it all up. I even used some little bits of textured wallpaper as well. So this has been done, both of these have been done with a paper bag, and I've sort of done it as like a kind of a rustic sort of feel. So I've torn the edges where I can. I suppose it's a little bit sort of shabby chic as well. And the inspiration for these are from a binder a couple of binders that I collected back in the early 1990s, and they were all about country cottages and country interiors and gardening and country crafts and all that kind of stuff. And even before I got into junk journaling, I used to love lovely old cottages and old pine furniture and pretty teacups and all that sort of stuff, pretty floral patterns on curtains and things like that. So this is where my inspiration has mainly come from, and these two big binders that I have got lots of lovely pages in them with interior design images in them, and they've just been sitting there on my shelf, and I thought it's about time I did something with them, because I'm probably never gonna, I like to look through them, but I've perhaps done one or two of the crafts from them, but I've never really done anything else with them. So I've only used 2 pages in each book, but I've also used a page from another Edith Holden book, which is like a country crafts type book. Anyway, we'll get on to showing you these. So this measures 9 by 6. I've put lace on the edge. On the back here, I'll show you the back in a minute. I've just did a little tie closure here, which is a piece of fabric, and then this is just a piece of curtain lining that I've upcycled, and I just put a little garment pin on here, and there's actually a little mother of pearl, they're quite old, probably antique mother of pearl buttons, which I've put one on each tie, and that just ties and wraps around. And then I've just sewn it on the back, and so we've got some little pieces of lace and fabric and a little bit of sewing. This is from the vintage Italian book that I've got from the 1800s. So, and this one also has the tie closure. I did add some lace just to kind of like reinforce the spine on this one. This one measures 6 by 5.5. And anyway, I'll show you that one in a minute. So we've got a label up there so you can write something if you want. And then I've done, from the paper bag, I've used a piece of the sort of scrap of the paper bag, which I've sewn and made a couple of little pockets. So I didn't use a lot of kits in this. I sort of went to my scrap tray and I pulled out as many little things, you know, journal cards and things that I had hanging around. So but I'll link down below any kits that I have used, but these little cards are from Nevermore Creations, and they're her planted ephemera kit, which is sort of like a gardening kit. We've got some tea dyed fabric on the spine to reinforce it, and then this is just some Prima scrapbook paper that I also had laying around. This is just a die cut from Tsunami Rose, another label. So this is the first page from that binder, and it says Country Cottage Style. And so you have a beautiful little cottage, and there's a little bit of information on the back page all about this is about the little cottage, and this is a lovely thatched roof. Then on the top here, this is a piece of vintage doily, and that's just a little piece of Cath Kidston fabric. So we have a tea dyed doily, a little bit of stamping. Then here I haven't done one of these for ages. This is wallpaper on here, and this is just like one of those flip out, I don't know what you call it, yeah, like a flip out, and I've done a bit of stamping there. And then under here, this is another page, a little image that I've cut from, this is actually from a country interior book, and I've left the piece of information about it just here, and then that flips out for some extra journaling space. Then we've got some parchment paper. This is some parchment. This is some paper that I was using when I did some blue fabric dyeing. We've got some lacy paper. I'll link the shop that I got that from. This is a cookery page, an old cookery page. I think it might be from about the 1950s. We've got a little fabric ruffle. That's another little card. All the cards have either been backed onto index card, paper bag, cardstock, tea dye paper. I just really tried to use up anything that I had laying around. This is cut from a piece of scrapbook paper. That's another card from Planted Ephemera. A little piece of textured wallpaper here, and we have another card. I think it's from a Prima set, but I think it's called Secret Garden. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's still available. This is a piece of graph paper, vintage, that is vintage graph paper. I've got another botanical page here with a ruffle. This is another card. That's from that interior design book. We have a little calendar page here from 1970, not calendar, it's a diary page, 1972. Bit of stamping. I just added some tissue paper there, so I thought this would be a good base if you wanted to use this for collaging. Then this is a page from this other Edith Holden book, that's the Country Crafts book. I'll link the name of that down below. I just actually found this at a book sale, but it has a lot of craft and sewing projects in it, but there's also some really lovely images, and this is one of them in the middle. I put a couple of little circles here. These are just leftover bits from my masterboard that I made. A little bit more of the tissue paper, and we have another card there. That's the other side of the graph paper. I actually got this from a shop called Willowbound Journals. So I think this is, yeah, this comes from New Zealand or Australia. I think it's New Zealand, this paper. I'll link her shop down below. I think she did still have some of that available. That's the Spanish Gardens book. This is a little die cut from the Planted Ephemera kit. Here is just a piece of old wallpaper, and I've put a little bit of trim at the top there. And we have another journal card. This is some paper that I also had that was, I think it had been tea dyed, and then I sprayed it, so I used some of that up. That's from a Reader's Digest book. This is from a garden book, and that's another piece of paper, a piece of digital paper. I think it might have originally come from Tsunami Rose. And then I've got a little booklet here, which I've put some fabric on the top. That's a bit more of that parchment paper. It's just, again, just little scraps of paper. It's the other side of the doily. Another little card. And that's the other side of the binder paper. And then you've got a nice little piece of information about the cottage. So that's that one. Then this is the smaller one. Again, this has got the little mother of pearl button, and we've got the same wraparound tie. The back of this, again, there's all sorts of scraps of paper. I've done a little bit of collaging there with some muslin, fabric and lace. We've got the wallpaper. This is a little scrap of sari silk and lace. This piece is from a children's fairy tale book. We've got the fabric to reinforce it again. We've got, this is from a calendar. So that obviously piece ends up in upside down. This is another piece of the parchment paper. There's a little bit of blue on the edge of that. We've got some lace tab, tea dyed scrapbook paper. We've got another little book. Just a little piece of fabric on the top, and again we've got the tea dyed parchment paper. That's actually what I've been using for tea dyeing, and that just fits in the top there, the same as in the other journal. This one I've made some quite deep pockets because it's a smaller book, so I've folded the pages up. So this is from that garden book again, and that's from the Planted Ephemera. It's a bit more of that sprayed paper. That's the 1972 diary. This is like a page from an instruction book. Just done a little bit of collaging there, and I've put a writing space there. This is a upcycled envelope, a sort of mailing envelope. So again, we've got the piece of wallpaper, a little bit of trim, some of the tissue paper, and another card. Bit of stamping on the envelope, the doily, more tea dyed scrapbook paper, a little fabric flip. This is a French cookery book page. This is a little piece of a snippet roll. This was actually gifted to me. These are some butterflies. This is from a Tsunami Rose digital. We've got the tissue paper at the back. Got another image there. That's backed onto paper bag. And this is just a little piece of a ledger paper that was left over. This is like a tea dyed art paper. So we've got another card from Planted Ephemera, and then this is just another little piece that I cut from the Edith Holden crafts book. This is a page from the Edith Holden crafts book. So you have lots of nice patterns and diagrams. That's another stamp from the Secret Garden stamp set. This is from an old country crafts book. That's the back page. It's just some paper. That's the other side of the art paper. And that's just got some inks on it, blue inks. So we've got another one of these cards. That's from this binder. That's the sprayed as well. That's another one from Planted Ephemera. It's another one of the butterflies. That's on the mailing envelope. And then we've got a little ruffle at the top there. And that's another card from one of the binder pages. And again, I haven't covered all of these up because I thought if you wanted to do collaging, you can use this as a base for that. That's another one from the Edith Holden book. That's another card from Edith, not the Edith Holden, the Planted Ephemera. And that's the back. And what I love about these is they feel really squishy as well. They feel really nice in the hand. So there we go. These will both be listed in my Etsy shop if you'd like to take a look. And hope you enjoyed the video, and speak to you all soon, and take care. Bye.